while the shadow of tragedy had fallen upon his siblings. From Rosemary's hidden ordeal to the heroic deaths of Joe Jr. and Kick, a new star, a powerful beacon of hope, began to shine within the Kennedy family. He was not merely the successor to his father's political dream, but also the embodiment of a new generation, a refreshing wind, brilliantly emerging after devastating losses. He was John F. Kennedy, or as he was intimately known, JFK. Born in 1888 into an ambitious family and nurtured in the demanding environment of public life, John F. Kennedy was not initially the one his father, Joe Sr., expected to become president. That role had been reserved for Joe Jr., the promising eldest son. But after his brother's tragic death in the skies of war, the weight of legacy and expectation unexpectedly shifted onto JFK's shoulders. He wasn't a perfect hero by conventional standards. He struggled with chronic health issues and had a complex personal life, but he possessed an irresistible charm. A sharp intellect, an unyielding warrior spirit, and a remarkable ability to connect with the public. From a decorated World War II veteran, lauded for his miraculous survival story from the sinking of PT-109 where he bravely rescued his comrades in the deep ocean, JFK quickly embarked on a political path. He was elected to the House of Representatives, then the Senate, and step by step, his career steadily ascended, as if by a predetermined fate, placing him at the very heart of American history. Alongside JFK was a woman no less captivating, an icon of style, grace, and intellect, Jacqueline Bouvier Kennedy. Their marriage was not just a love story, it was the convergence of two perfect images, creating a modern royalty for America. Adored by the public, Jackie brought elegance and timeless beauty, perfectly complementing JFK's dynamism and charisma, forming a powerful couple that captivated the entire world. In 1960, John F. Kennedy made history by becoming the Democratic Party's presidential nominee, squaring off against Richard Nixon, a formidable and more experienced opponent. This wasn't just a typical political race, it was a revolution in media and set a new precedent. For the first time, a presidential debate was broadcast live on television, creating an entirely new stage for politics. With his handsome looks, self-assured demeanor, polished style, and captivating eloquence, JFK won the hearts of millions of viewers. He wasn't just selling a policy or a platform, he was selling a dream. A vision of the new frontier, an era of innovation, progress, civic responsibility, and hope for America. He skillfully turned his youth and relative inexperience into an advantage, promising an energetic change, a departure from old paradigms. The 1960 election was nail-bitingly close, with accusations of fraud in some states, like Illinois and Texas, sparking endless debates about the fairness of his victory. But in the end, John F. Kennedy clinched a convincing win. At 43, he became the youngest elected president of the United States, bringing a fresh breeze, youthful energy, and vibrant vitality to the White House. He was a hero, a symbol of a nation brimming with determination, ready to face a new century. Yet, behind the dazzling spotlight and radiant public smiles lay a dark secret known only to his closest confidants: JFK's grueling battle with his health. The admired president was, in reality, a man in perpetual pain. He suffered from multiple chronic illnesses, including Addison's disease, a rare and dangerous adrenal insufficiency, severe back problems from wartime injuries, colitis, and osteoporosis. At times, he had to use crutches to walk and frequently wore a steel back brace for spinal support, which he jokingly called his armor. He consumed a large quantity of medication daily, from steroids to manage Addison's, to painkillers to combat intense back pain, to antibiotics and other drugs to deal with continuous complications. The pain sometimes made him clench his teeth, grind his jaw, and prevented him from sleeping, severely impacting his morale and concentration. His entire medical record was kept absolutely confidential, classified as top secret by the White House medical team, out of fear that this information could be exploited by political rivals or undermine his leadership image. Only a select few doctors and aides, led by his personal physician Dr. George Berkeley, knew the severity of his condition. To the public, JFK always appeared energetic, youthful, and robust, an image meticulously crafted. The stark contrast between his public persona and his debilitating health was an immense psychological and physical burden. A secret meticulously hidden to maintain public trust in an untarnished leader. An invincible hero. Despite battling illness daily, JFK remained a decisive, audacious, and far-sighted president. His tenure, though brief, was fraught with global challenges and historical decisions that shaped the world. JFK confronted a Cold War at its boiling point, pushing the world to the brink of nuclear conflict. The climax was the Cuban Missile Crisis in October 1962. During those 13 fateful days, the world held its breath as the Soviet Union secretly placed nuclear missiles in Cuba, just dozens of miles from the U.S. coast, under immense pressure from generals and hawks demanding a direct military attack. JFK demonstrated extraordinary shrewdness, resolve, and strategic foresight. He rejected an immediate attack, opting instead for a naval blockade and engaging in secret diplomacy, negotiating directly with the Soviet Union. Ultimately, he reached a tense diplomatic agreement, averting a direct confrontation that could have annihilated humanity. It was a moment when the world's survival rested in his hands, and he navigated it brilliantly. He also committed to the ambitious Apollo space program, challenging America to land a man on the moon before the end of the decade. A bold goal that spurred technological innovation and competitive spirit. He was a master inspirer, delivering eloquent speeches on freedom, peace, and civic duty, such as his famous Ich bin ein Berliner speech in Berlin, affirming solidarity with the people of West Berlin divided by the Berlin Wall. JFK's image at this time was a symbol of hope, strength, and extraordinary leadership. Under JFK's leadership, America witnessed significant changes. He established the Peace Corps, a volunteer program that sent young Americans to developing nations, leaving a legacy of people-to-people diplomacy. He also began to push for civil rights legislation, confronting deep-seated racial segregation in the South, a daunting and perilous task. He strove to reform the tax system and advanced science and technology. JFK was also a lover of culture and the arts, transforming the White House into a vibrant cultural hub. However, his tenure was not without its controversies and hidden pressures. There were rumors of his relationships with organized crime figures, particularly concerning elections, and tensions with the CIA after the Bay of Pigs, and shifts in foreign policy that might have created dangerous enemies. These secrets, though not fully verified, painted a complex picture of the young president, a hero with unexplored hidden depths. Yet, all these aspirations, grand plans, and hidden secrets abruptly ceased on one unforgettable, fateful day, November 22, 1963, a day that would forever haunt the American psyche, an unhealing scar. The day the youngest president was publicly assassinated, right on the streets of Dallas. On that fateful noon, President Kennedy, along with First Lady Jacqueline, Texas Governor John Connally, and his wife, were riding in an open-top limousine down Elm Street in Dallas. Thousands of people poured onto the streets, cheering for their beloved president, the bright sun shining down on the festive atmosphere. Not a single person in that crowd, or even those in the fated car, could have known that a horrifying moment awaited, one that would forever alter history. At 12:30 p.m., deafening gunshots rang out, shattering the peace. The first bullet reportedly pierced JFK's throat, then passed through Governor Connally. Seconds later, a second fatal bullet struck JFK's head. Blood and brain matter splattered. Jackie Kennedy, in her blood-stained pink dress, desperately tried to climb onto the back of the car for help, while Secret Service agents reacted frantically. That terrifying scene was captured by Abraham Zapruder's 8mm camera, becoming one of the most haunting, most tragic moments in American history. The presidential car sped off towards Parkland Memorial Hospital, but it was too late. The symbol of hope had fallen, right before the eyes of the world. The world was shaken, stunned in grief and disbelief. Hours later, Lee Harvey Oswald, a former Marine with communist sympathies and a troubled past, was arrested and charged with the president's assassination. But the story didn't end there. It had only begun to unveil its layers of mystery. 2 days later, as Oswald was being transferred, he was shot and killed by Jack Ruby, a Dallas nightclub owner with ties to the underworld, right before live television cameras. Oswald's death extinguished all hope for a clear explanation from the sole suspect, leaving countless questions unanswered and opening the door to thousands of conspiracy theories. Who was behind this historic assassination? Did Oswald act alone, as the Warren Commission later concluded? Or was this a larger conspiracy? A dark hand pulling the strings, involving powerful and mysterious organizations? These questions have haunted Americans for decades, gnawing at their trust in the government. And to this day, the JFK assassination remains one of the most enigmatic and controversial events, an unhealing scar in modern history. Conspiracy theories surrounding the JFK assassination flourished and stubbornly persisted. Many believed it was an organized conspiracy rather than the act of a lone madman. Some of the most popular theories include the Mafia, those who sought revenge for the aggressive crackdown by the Justice Department under Robert F. Kennedy, JFK's brother. The CIA. Some believed the CIA had motives to eliminate JFK due to tensions after the Bay of Pigs and his policy shifts. The Cuban government or Cuban exiles, retaliating against efforts to overthrow Fidel Castro. Or even the military-industrial complex, dissatisfied with JFK's conciliatory approach during the Cold War. There's also the theory of the magic bullet, the single bullet purported to have caused both JFK's and Governor Connolly's wounds, raising doubts about the number of gunmen. Although official investigations like the Warren Commission concluded Oswald was the sole perpetrator, the questions have never faded, and millions of Americans still believe the truth remains hidden. Every declassified document, every new witness, only adds to the complexity and mystery of the young president's death. JFK's sudden, tragic passing was not merely a personal loss or a political tragedy. It was a profound psychological shock, a collective wound for an entire nation, and for the Kennedy family. It was yet another painful proof of the curse that seemed to dog them, a curse that had claimed one of their greatest members. JFK left behind a complex yet undeniable legacy that continues to profoundly influence us today. He inspired a generation of young people to engage in public service with the immortal words, "Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country." He laid the groundwork for the Civil Rights Revolution. Though he did not live to complete it, he guided the nation through the most difficult times of the Cold War, averting a nuclear war, and vigorously pushed forward the space race. His legacy is a symbol of hope, innovation, and eternal youth, a lighthouse for those who yearn for a better world. But alongside these achievements, his death left an indelible scar on the American soul, and further deepened the belief in a curse haunting the Kennedy family. It's as if whoever reaches the pinnacle of fame must pay an exorbitant price, a price no treasure can measure, a price that is their very life. JFK's death was not the end of the Kennedy family's chain of tragedies. It was just the next chapter, a louder warning bell of what was yet to come. The remaining members, particularly Robert F. Kennedy and Ted Kennedy, would have to bear not only a great legacy but also the heavy burden of this curse, facing their own challenges and tragedies, sometimes even more horrific. In the next video of the Kennedy Curse series, we will explore another talented and equally tragic brother, Robert F. Kennedy, who tried to carry on his brother's ideals. but faced an equally cruel fate, seemingly determined by some unseen force. Join us to learn more about the continuing secrets and tragedies of the Kennedy family.